Hey everyone, my name is Dillon Gonzalez. I'm the editorial director for GeekVibesNation.com and a co-host of the Home Dance Film Festival podcast. And I am very excited to be here with you today to discuss a label that I've been getting more into recently. I recently had the chance to check out their new 4K Texas Chainsaw Massacre release, along with their All Quiet on the Western Front, the newer one that was just nominated for Best Picture in 4K. And both of those releases were really solid, and it got me interested in going back a little bit further into their catalog and seeing maybe what gems I had missed out on up until now. And I'm not going to be going deep into those releases because we've already covered those on the channel before. So I'm just going to pick just a handful of releases that I recently picked up and just wanted to kind of show off and talk about real quick. So I'm just going to dive right in. And my first title is, it's my weakest, unfortunately, so we're not starting off on the best note, but I think this is like 3/4 of a really good movie, and that is Broadcast Signal Intrusion, which stars Harry Shum Jr., who I first saw on Glee, and then he was in Everything Everywhere All at Once in the kind of a Ratatouille section of that reality. So this is a horror movie that I first saw a few years back when it debuted at South by Southwest. And I didn't really love it at that time, but I wanted to revisit it on Blu-ray, and I like it better since I knew kind of what I was getting into, but it is still kind of a little bit of a disappointment when it comes to the ending. This is a story about, it's a horror movie where there's a guy who has recently lost his girlfriend. It's in like set in the early 90s where he is like in the process, he archives old video, like TV video recordings, and he comes across this really strange recording of this phenomenon that has happened in the real world called broadcast signal intrusion, where some kind of group or something infiltrates the airwaves and like kind of plays their own recording or video or something. And in real life, it wasn't quite as nefarious. Here, things kind of get a little bit weird with like this like creepy mask and all that stuff going on. And it leads him like kind of like on a dark odyssey, trying to figure out who is behind this phenomenon and if there's something that even seedier going on than what it appears on the tape, and maybe how it even connects to his own personal life. And that kind of like Hitchcockian paranoia works really well throughout a lot of the movie. That's just him. He's kind of detached from reality. He doesn't really want to kind of accept help or anything like that. He's just kind of like immersing himself to the point of like kind of like obsession and insanity into this project. And where it leads up, it's not quite as satisfying as the slow burn kind of eerie journey up until that point. Overall, I think it's still worth a watch. It's a pretty effective, creepy horror movie, all things considered, but it just doesn't quite land the ending. But I did gain a new appreciation because this Blu-ray, which looks really nice and sounds really good, comes with an audio commentary track with Harry Shum Jr. and the director as well, which gives me a little bit more context of what they were kind of going for. It still doesn't completely work for me, but it does enhance the release for me. So Broadcast Signal Intrusion, it's a decent watch. It's worth at least one watch, but it's not my favorite. This next one is probably my most controversial pick, and that is The Lover on 4K Ultra HD, which I'll show off this packaging first. This comes in their media book packaging, which All Quiet on the Western Front also did as well. It kind of has this removable card. I don't like the size of the packaging. I wish it was like Blu-ray size, because this like kind of DVD height packaging isn't the best, but it's beautiful packaging where you have this interior with artwork and all that kind of goodness in here. Ooh, a little steamy here. A little preview of what you are getting from the packaging. Got an essay and all that, and then the Blu-ray disc as well. So this is a 4K Blu-ray pack. This movie actually had never been released on Blu-ray before in the US. It hadn't been released since the DVD era, I believe from MGM. So this jumped right to 4K with a Blu-ray option. So for those who haven't imported it up until now, you can finally see it, which This movie is, I say it's controversial because it is kind of going down that forbidden romance slash unequal power dynamic. It's based on a book of like a real woman's experiences. This is set in the late 1920s, and it involves like a girl who is like 15, 16 years old, who goes off to boarding school, meets this wealthy Chinese man. It's kind of, they start off an affair where each of them kind of have reasons why they wouldn't want the affair to be known. They each could hurt each of their individual situations. And but there's she is a young white girl, he is a Chinese man, and just the age difference is obviously addressed, but also there's like cultural differences, class dynamics. He is kind of able to provide her a lifestyle that she hadn't been able to afford before. And this movie is, even though she portrays a girl this young, the actress was not that young. So this is a very like erotic, steamy movie. There's a lot of nudity, a lot of sex scenes. They can be uncomfortable due to like the age difference of the characters, but it's not really explicitly exploitively shot. There's like full frontal nudity from both sexes, but beyond that, it is a really well told shot movie. It's an honest movie, emotionally honest movie, that is really engaging, even if it does cause you to wrestle with those kind of interior questions of what is appropriate, which is not an appropriate relationship, but just what these trying to understand what these characters are feeling, why they are feeling it. And also, this movie was actually nominated for Best Cinematography at the Oscars. It didn't win, but I can see why. It's a very beautifully shot film, and it looks really great on 4K. It's a really striking looking movie. It retains all the nice, natural, rich film grain. This is presented in Dolby Vision with the original DTS 5.1 soundtrack. This is a really nice restoration. I believe this was released previously overseas with a color grade that was not very fetching. I think it was kind of more of a yellow overcast color grade, which has been dialed back here to a more natural tone, which looks really good. And so if you want to see this movie, this is a really great presentation. This has a couple different like English and I think French subtitles. There's a lot of this is also in partnership with Cape Light. So if you have the kind of I believe it's a German release. I believe it's pretty much like a same import, like a same port over of that disc, except just with English language and stuff, because there is an option to pick like a German language menu for this. But this does come with a 54-minute making of featurette, which is really great. There's a 13-minute interview with the author of this book, who does the narration, and the director of the film. And then there's some unreleased scenes that didn't make it into the movie, like kind of outtakes and alternate line readings and all that stuff. So The Lover, if you think it's up your alley, if you want something a little steamy and forbidden, The Lover, it's a really good release. It's just not for all audiences, so just viewer discretion is definitely advised with this one. My next one is from Dark Sky Films, and that is My Heart Can't Beat Unless You Tell It To, which is technically, I would say, a horror movie, but I kind of hesitate to even call it that because it is so slow burn that is more kind of in the vein of like a family drama with some nice, dark, horrific twists and turns within this. I don't want to spoil too much about the movie. Bare bones plot about this is that it is about two brother and sister who have a very frail, sickly brother who they go to, I'll just say, extreme circumstances in order to take care of his medical malady that ails him. And in order to do that, they have to make some extreme choices and kind of go against some of moral code that they have inside themselves of what is right and wrong and what will you do for family. And that's kind of what the the whole film is wrestling with is what lengths will you go to protect your family? Will you break the law? Will you go just like to the ends of the earth for your family? And is that healthy? And the familial intricacies of that. It's a really interesting movie. It's a very, like I said, it's a slow burn. So don't expect like horrific, like oddities and stuff. It's more like insular. There's like a little bit of blood here and there, but it's nothing intense. Even like scaredy cats can really handle this one, but it's a really engrossing movie. I think it's a really rewarding movie, and just like it makes you think a lot, which I appreciate. So this one looks really nice. It sounds good. It's just like it's a modern movie. It just came out a couple years ago. Has a good audio-visual presentation. But it only has a trailer, so there's not really much in the way of special features. But as a film, I think it is worth looking at. And also, I have a final two movies. These both come from IFC Films, which MPI distributed them before RLJE took over. And both of these I really love. But the first one is Shithouse, which, yes, not the best title, but this director, I really like him. This is Cooper Rafe, who is the star here. He directed one of my favorite movies from last year, Cha Cha Real Smooth. Here's a better look at him here, that's on Apple TV Plus. If you haven't watched it yet, definitely check that one out. It's heartwarming. It's amazing. I love it so much. This is his directorial debut from a few years prior. It's not quite as good as Cha Cha, but few things are. But it's just a really great story, emotionally honest story about a guy who is like just starting college and really wrestling with the fact that he is away from home. He is homesick. He's not really been able to make any friends at college, and just kind of like almost on the verge of like kind of packing it up and going back home to Texas. And he's in California until one day he goes to a party at Shithouse, which is the name of like a house on campus, and he meets this girl right here, and it kind of turns into almost like a Before trilogy situation where it's like a walk and talk. They kind of get to know each other over the course of a night and kind of like learn about one another. But the movie goes beyond just like that, like Before Sunrise type situation where you're just focused on one night. It does kind of take place over a series of days and then make some time jumps and stuff. But I really like how Rafe handles kind of the emotional like dynamics of like not being afraid to show the vulnerability within like dudes who like they're often portrayed to just like have like no emotions and be brusque and like just not able to like let their feelings be known. And there are some issues with the character. He's not a saint, and he kind of says some things towards the female lead, which I was not on board with, but I could understand from a thematic place why he said this, and he is still like a young man who is growing. So thematically it all worked, even if some of the things did rub me the wrong way. But overall, it's a really solid like romantic movie, coming of age story. It's just it makes me feel good. I want more movies like this, because they're just so emotionally fulfilling. And this comes with some deleted scenes, some bloopers, and like an additional short film, which is pretty cool. So really glad to finally have this in my collection. I've been wanting to watch this for a little while. And finally is a really great period piece called Summerland with Gemma Arterton, which she is an underrated actress. She's often been kind of put more in kind of the bombshell, like Second Banana type situation, who doesn't really get as much depth as she needs. But Summerland kind of rectifies that. It's a really gentle movie about like a woman who is in town. She kind of is kind of shunned by the community because she's kind of seen as kind of like curmudgeon, kind of like doesn't like a misanthropic presence, just kind of out in her own world, who doesn't want to help anyone. And this is set in like the World War II era, where she is forced to take in a child from Britain that's like kind of in the thick of like the war zone, and kind of like has to kind of act as like a foster mom to this young boy. And just kind of seeing how the introduction of this young boy to her reality kind of softens her, and you get to learn more about why she is the way she is, why she doesn't want to really open herself up to people. There's a lot of really nice nuances to this that I don't want to spoil because it is like a really like nice story that I really appreciated. That Gemma Arterton, she kills this role, and I really love it. And there are moments that make you want to tear up from like it's just emotional beauty. But if you are a fan of period pieces, this is a home run for me. And even if you're not, this is not like a stuffy one. This is really, it has like a lot of energy. It's just a really great movie, and it's a really nice release. This comes with a really great AV presentation and a really solid selection of special features, even though they are not listed on the back. If you go onto the disc, there's a 16-minute behind the scenes featurette, but then there's also like probably like 14 or so interviews with like director, cast, key grips, like everyone. Like there's like probably at least a good 30 plus 45 minutes of interviews that just are not listed on the back, but it gives you a good insight into this movie. So these 5 movies, I don't think there's a complete dud in all of them. I think they kind of go up in quality as you go up, even though I think maybe Shithouse is my favorite, but all 5 are really great releases from MPI. I am really excited to check out more from them because, as I said, I've only recently started to get into their catalog. But so far, I'm loving what I'm seeing. So I'm hoping to kind of dig into more of their catalogs on a future video. If you want to see that, please let me know. Let me know what you think of these presentations. Share this with people that you think love great movies, which hopefully is everyone. And just make sure you're subscribed to this. We have the Video Attic, which is our main show that I do with my colleague Michael Vaughn, where we go over strictly like new releases that are coming onto our plate, just like we go back and forth. It's a little bit more structured than this. This is just more of a freewheeling bonus video. But make sure to subscribe for that and other interviews and stuff on the channel. But I really appreciate you watching. Until next time, enjoy these movies.